All right, welcome everybody to Two Women Talking. I'm Natalie, and along with Sarah, we love to cover topics that we think are really relevant, but ultimately to help keep life really simple. So Sarah, why don't you introduce yourself, and then I'll introduce myself and then the topic.
All right, I'm Sarah DeCiccio. I'm a certified holistic health coach. I'm a mom of 2 young kids, and I also have a husband that I take good care of. And my specialty is gut health. So if you want to learn more about me or to sign up for my emails for some healthy tips and tricks, just head to my website, www.findingyourwellspot.com.
And I highly recommend checking her out. She really knows how to answer questions in a way that you can understand. She loves to do summits, listen to tons of summits. She's my go-to girl. So with that said, I'm Natalie Stratton, and I'm the founder and creator of Create a Beautiful Life Destination Retreats. In fact, I just did a retreat up at Kingsfield Retreat Center that was amazing, and I'm reminded of what my gifts are as a result of doing that. So check me out. My website's nataliestratton.com, and sign up for my daily mantra. Okay, let's get started, Sarah.
All right, we're going to talk about acid blockers. So if you don't know what acid blockers are, it's basically when people are taking prescription medicine like Nexium, or you're taking stuff just over the counter like Tums to help block the acid that is being produced in your stomach. Now, from a conventional medicine point of view, that's what you're always prescribed if you're getting heartburn or acid reflux. But from a holistic standpoint, we always try to find the root cause. And this might kind of blow your mind a little bit, or it might be hard for you to believe, but when you feel like you're getting acid reflux or you're getting heartburn, it's because your stomach is not producing enough acid. It's not that you're producing too much, you're not producing enough. So your stomach is trying to produce more acid to make up for the lack that you have. So if you think about it for a minute, think about a T-bone steak, okay? So imagine that you're going to eat that T-bone steak. So you have a bowl of battery acid. So battery acid would be equivalent to your stomach acid in your gut. And then you have a bowl of table vinegar. That would be the equivalent of your stomach acid if you actually popped, say, some Nexium or Tums, okay? So it's going to affect your stomach acid. So if you were to put a T-bone steak into one into the battery acid, one into the table vinegar, which one do you think is actually going to be disintegrated or eaten up?
The battery acid.
The battery acid, right? And that's what we want. We want to make sure that we are digesting our food properly. So when you're putting it in the equivalent of table vinegar, you're not digesting your food properly, which again is going to lead to other problems. So that's why it's really important that we work on our stomach acid so we have the equivalent of battery acid, so it's really actually digesting our food properly. So acid blockers, they have a huge effect, negative effect on our gut bacteria. And I've talked about this several times. You have good and bad bacteria in your gut. It's super important that it is balanced. If it is not balanced, it can lead to different things like inflammation. It affects your immunity. It affects a lot of things, which can lead to different diseases. So you always want to make sure you're working on your gut to make sure it's healthy and that it is balanced. So I was watching Dr. David Perlmutter. He's one of my favorite doctors to watch. He's an amazing neurologist, and he likes to get to the bottom of and find the root cause of what's going on with people. So he was reading up on some studies, one published in the PLAS one from Stanford University. It was a huge study done on 3 million people who were taking acid blockers like Nexium, and they were trying to determine what their risk of having a heart attack was. And those who were taking these acid blockers, their risk of a heart attack was increased by 16%. Now, say you have a heart attack, your chances of dying from that heart attack double if you're on acid blockers. So that's huge when you actually consider how many people are on acid blockers. Another study was done in the JAMA Neurology, and they found the risk of dementia in regular users of proton pump inhibitors, which are the acid blockers that we're taking, like the Tums and the Nexium, was increased by 44%. So even before these people had dementia, your chances, if you're using these acid blockers on a regular basis, of developing dementia is 44%. So they have a major effect even on your brain. And the author of that study concluded, and I'll state, and I'll quote, I should say, thus the avoidance of proton pump inhibitors, which again are the acid blocker medication, may contribute to the prevention of dementia. So these acid blockers, if you're suffering with heartburn and acid reflux, they are not the answer. You need to get to the root cause, which is seriously what you're eating, how you're eating, and your acid in your gut. Obviously, it is not producing enough acid, so you have to get that balance so that way you're not getting the acid reflux and the heartburn. And one of the girls that I actually worked with, I coached her for a while. She was on very strong medication, acid blockers, for her acid reflux for over 20 years. And she worked with me for less than, I think it was in her second or third week, off all medication. After 20 years of being on prescription medication for acid blockers. And she's a firm believer. It is like what you eat and how you eat it.
Wow, that's cool. So if anyone's on acid blockers, really you struggle with your digestion, anything, I highly recommend connecting with Sarah. She knows the things to tweak to make the difference long-term, because, it's kind of like Tylenol now, and we're learning so much more about these different, what we think are helpful, but really they're just suppressing the symptom, not really dealing with the issue. And so, and you think about the long-term effects, ultimately, what are the long-term effects? And, research is showing there's issues arising. So, that's really, I pop in at times, I don't have an issue, but I know people that do. It's like there's people that pop them all the time.
Yeah, like candy. Right?
Yeah.
Like Tums are like candy, and some people, I just like the taste of them, so they'll just pop one.
Yeah.
Even if they don't really need it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you know of anybody with issues like this, make sure you share this video, because I think it's important for, as the education comes out and the research comes out, that we understand that it's buyer beware. You've got to really do your research today. Don't just go down the garden path and say, oh, the doctor said this, this, and this. Do your research, because there are side effects. There are long-term effects on issues out there. And there's holistic ways of actually solving the problem, Sarah, which is what we're designed. Our body's given the right opportunity, will course correct, right?
Oh, absolutely. Even when I was pregnant, I remember getting heartburn with my second child. Mm-hmm. And now I don't get any heartburn now. And if I do, say if I get a little bit, which is very rare, then I know that I need to change my eating a bit, or again, I need to work on my acid in my stomach. Mm-hmm. And just to give you a couple quick tips, just for people who are wondering, drinking lemon water first thing in the morning on an empty stomach is going to help stimulate that acid production, reducing your stress. Also, when we eat, and I'm guilty for this too, if we're eating in front of the TV, if we're talking on the phone, if we're looking at our cell phones, digestion begins in the brain. If our brain is not sending a message to our gut to say, hey, I'm ready to eat, start producing some acid so you can digest my food. And then again, with your mouth producing the saliva with the enzymes to help break down your food when you're chewing, you're not going to digest your food properly, and you're going to get that heartburn and acid reflux feeling. So it really is being mindful when you're eating, so you know that your body knows, okay, I'm eating now, I need to produce the acid to break down the food. It's really simple things that are not really hard, and once you kind of just tweak it a little bit, you'll find a huge difference in your digestive system and how you're feeling. Honestly, I've seen it happen with tons of people. So instead of spending all your money on trying to get these horrible drugs that are doing more damage than good, I know they probably give you relief at that moment, but you're not getting to the root cause, and it's only going to get worse, and you're only going to deal with other negative side effects later on down the road, which we don't want you to have a heart attack. We don't want you to have poor immunity. We don't want you to have inflammation or other diseases or dementia later on. It's scary stuff when you think about it.
Yeah, totally, Sarah. So thank you so much for sharing that. Leave your comments below or questions. And until next week, have a great week, everybody. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.